Hey, thanks for joining us on another episode of Truth and Liars. And let me tell you about our next guest. I met this friend. He's been a friend of mine, for 30 years now. I want to say close to 30 years. And he was a teenager when I first met him. I'm several years older than him. And he was drumming at church, an incredibly talented musician. I've watched him grow up. I've been able to walk alongside of him as a brother, and vicariously, I live through him in many ways, whether he recognizes that or not. He's a professional musician. He is a global drumming instructor. He has collaborated with significant artists. He's been on the road. He's toured. He's had a long-standing gig down in the Quarter in New Orleans, which will be a very interesting conversation. But he is a gentleman that I just want to tell you I am proud to call you my friend.
I appreciate that.
We are joined today by Stephen Taylor.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I can't tell you how long I've been wanting to do this.
Well.
And finally we're here. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Stephen's in town. He's got a performance this weekend, and he was just telling me about his rehearsal schedule.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't a casual
They like their rehearsals.
I mean, this is a deal. And
Yeah.
It's like hours upon hours. And it's that work ethic, Stephen. If anyone is to describe you, I would say it's work ethic. All of your chops. You had great instructors coming up. You know, I knew several of them and worked with a couple of them myself, in different things, but like your work ethic, you just wouldn't quit. So Stephen, tell us real quick, what are you doing right now?
Well, right now I'm not in rehearsal, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah, well, sit back.
Yeah.
Sit back, enjoy yourself.
Right now we just graduated a kid, so that's a big event, and then in the middle of I've got an online drum school. Had one, of course, for 15 years,
Right.
And so we've just spent it's about a year. It takes about a year and a half from conception until we finally launched the new program and site 2 months ago, just over 2 months ago. And so that consumed, getting the plan together and then doing the back end, reorganizing all of that, hardening things. Took about 6 months, and then it took another 6 or 7 months to redesign a completely new website with a new program and new teaching style. And so we just got that launched out. And so I'm taking a beat to get used to the new teaching pattern that I have to do with when I need to record content and everything. And but that's been since I came off the road. We were in the middle of a big home renovation that took a lot of my time, and this was the next thing I moved into, was doing that. So now we've got it at a place where I'm real happy, and now we've got a whole plan to scale for the next 2 years. So I'm excited about it, but I want to get back to playing more drums instead of thinking about the drums.
It's amazing the things that we'll put in front to do the things that we love to do.
Yeah.
If I phrase that correctly. And I'll say this, let me preface it with, you are not afraid of a project.
No, I was a little afraid of this. In 15 years, this was the biggest thing I've done with my business.
5 years, I'm thinking, you purchased a studio.
Yeah. We
renovated that studio.
We did. It was
then you went on the road.
For a year and a half.
And this is in the midst of a family, 3 children.
Yeah, family. We had, her mom passed away about 4 years ago. So we had been her caretaker for about 4 years. And
that's an added responsibility.
Yeah.
In a very challenging sense. And so home renovation, and now renovating the website and the platform for which you're using to teach drums.
Yeah, and then we completely redid. So that we can scale, I have to have a plan to go to. So we have those positions already built out with SOPs and an org chart and salaries about who's going to be. So while I was building that website, I was on the side with my bookkeeper and some business consultants. Coming up with that plan. So
that's not the back end. That's the back end.
Oh, yeah. And I hadn't even, I came in one day, Grant, he's a great guy, he works for me. I came in and I said, so here's the other thing I've been doing for hours at a time. And I showed him the plan. Yeah, I said, this is where we're going, you know?
A beer. No.
So I said, this is the vision for where we're going. But I had to get that. I wanted to have that vision so we could put it in front of me and put it in front of him. Right. So we're all marching to that, you know, that same thing.
So you have students from all over the world.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do 6 or 7 drum camps every year, which sound silly that we do adult drum camps, but it's awesome. They're so much fun, and we have most people that come are 50 and older. Although we have teenagers come, and they come from everywhere. Last one we had somebody from Spain. We've had from England.
You speak English?
What's that? Yeah, they all speak English when they come.
That's good. You don't have to bring a translator.
No,
and just from personal experience, my son attended.
Yeah, he
drum
did.
Camp. How old were you, Ro, when you did that?
Yeah,
right? So 17
he
years old.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. I mean, it moved me to see these students from all walks of life, people that would never cross paths any other way, with one shared passion.
Yeah.
And that was drums. And then the environment that you brought them in, embraced them, brought them into the space. And for a weekend, they're rock stars.
Yeah.
And you're showing them, man, what I'm seeing is you were showing them the tracking process and letting them pick out their song, and then all the education that went on the front end of it, and then the sense of accomplishment. The next day, after the big finale of the night, you know, where you guys were tracking these songs that they had been working on all week, I saw it's like 5 or 6 of them at a hotel lobby eating breakfast, and they were still talking about it.
Yeah.
They were still buzzing off that high.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of you and what you've done.
Appreciate that.
It's incredible.
Yeah, those have been fun. They we haven't had one camp where somebody hasn't cried, which was offsetting at when we started doing them. I thought, no, we always have somebody that cried. Usually,
I was going to say somebody's going to break down.
Maybe it's the middle of the week and they've confronted some challenges. It's not usual for an adult to do things in public that they're not good at. But a lot of times when these very high functioning people, doctors and lawyers, and we've had a lot of pilots come through, believe it or not, when they stop doing all their things and they just focus a week, stopping everything and having time to think, a lot of times things come up. And so we wind up talking about spouses that have passed away or parents that, you know, it's funny the things that come up. We've had multiple people tell us outside of getting married and having kids, this has been the best week of their life, which look, man, we play the drums, you know what I'm saying? Right. We're not laying bricks. It's fun, but at the same time, it clues you into, and they'll tell us this, it just feels different here. I don't know why, I just like being here.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard to go into with them about all the details of why a building feels the way. Today, yeah. Why?
Talk about that why.
Yeah.
So when I met you, it was at our church,
Mm-hmm.
Grace Temple, and I had never played with people. Yep. So I was a back porch guitarist. That's using that word loosely.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember setting in. Joseph had invited me in, and I did not have a clue what to do. And it was you and our other friend Troy
mm-hmm.
that taught me how to play. Like I knew chords and I knew a few notes, but like I had no concept of what music was or how to play. And it was you and him that taught me how to play. And I'll tell people that today. But you were a teenager.
Yeah, I was.
You weren't even in college yet.
No, I would have been probably 16, 17, maybe 16.
Right.
Yeah, whenever we met that. So I'd been playing there for 2 years at that time. I'd only been playing the drums for 2 years, but had some great teachers and then Joe's, of course, at the church, who's second father to me. He was really great and orchestrating that stuff and helping to bring players up. So, and it's the only reason I was set up to take a full-time gig at 19, you know, which is
so that
not
was
a
your
normal
sophomore
thing.
year in college when that came.
So I went to college for 3 semesters, and after that third semester, my old drum teacher called me and said, "Hey, they got an audition here for a day band, and I think you could do it." So I went down and auditioned. And
this is in New Orleans.
Yeah, John Wayner's famous door on the corner of Conti and Bourbon. It's still the famous door. That's a historical.
Is it still the famous door? I was down there the other day. I was looking for it.
So it has to stay that name.
Since I've been down there.
Apparently, that name is historically attached to that building. Okay. So when John Wayner went to Florida to start a club there, he tried to take that name, and they would not let him. So his wound up being called, I think, the Door in down in Florida, and because he couldn't take the famous door. It's John Wayner's The Door. But I went down there, and then that started a whole string of events where I spent 3 years down there.
3 years.
Playing
And
on
you
Bourbon
would
Street.
commute, stay over the weekend, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so Kelly, who's my wife now, we started dating when I was 16, and we had gotten back together at that time, and then I moved shortly thereafter, and so she was finishing school, and so I was driving back and forth about 4 times a week to see her, and then also play, down there. It was a lot of running the roads.
A lot of running the roads and a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go down there regularly to see you.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me tell you, the times I was down there was never an off night at the door. Like the quarter could be relatively quiet, but door was packed.
It's
and
packed every night.
because of the heat you guys were bringing.
Yeah.
You had some remarkable musicians that were playing with you.
Incredible. Just talked to the trumpet player the other day, Scott Frock, he's semi-retired now, and he said he had just taken a pickup gig with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I mean these guys were just incredible players, way better than I should have been playing with at that time. I was the kid, and they let me know it. They gave it to me. I mean, it was what I needed. I needed to kind of go through that pressure cooker.
Well, to get to where you were at, and I'll always say, I'm speaking for you, but like that was the defining moment that built that skill set, because from the time the downbeat, there was energy, there was movement. I mean, there was life in that place musically until y'all wrapped it up, and you had to learn how to maintain that. If I wasn't mistaken, you were pretty much driving the night.
Yeah,
right?
we called, and a lot of times the drummers would call the set. I didn't know enough to know how to do that, but you learn the mechanics because Bourbon Street is the same way as Beale Street is in Memphis or Broadway is in Nashville. They're these moving streets that, 10 minutes go by and the same crowd you had was not going to be the same crowd that's outside because it moves like a river does. It moves up and down. And so if they weren't happy with the people they had in there, maybe they weren't buying enough, maybe they weren't dancing enough, maybe they were some troublemakers, the manager would walk by and he would do a thumbs down, and that meant dump the club. And so you could go and play usually a big band swing type of a thing, and people go running for the doors, killing each people. Yeah.
So he's feeling the pulse of the bar.
Yeah, you rotate the room by how you call the set.
And he just does that, and the whole intent is to get that element out of the club.
Yep, and so you could dump them in one song, and you'd have an empty club. And then we had certain doormen, because you had doormen that were trying to get people in, and they liked certain songs, and they'd come over and say, "Play this song, I'll fill it up." And I don't know why, but they'd have it full by the end of that song. I don't know what that song would do for them. And then you had other songs that you could rotate the club with. So if you were sitting there and let's say there weren't enough people buying drinks and you've been kind of hitting them hard with all these dancing tunes, then you call something like My Girl, and that rotates and gets all the couples out there, and now they're dancing, and that lets all the partiers go and get their, refreshments. And then to get them back out there, you hit them with Brick House or funky music or one of those that, and it'll rotate the whole room. So it was very interesting to watch the psychology of how you rotate rooms through music and what happens when you play a certain thing, being able to feel the crowd and understand they're liking this, let's go in that direction. Because if you dump that, you can dump that. They can go to another place. It's right around the corner. They can just go to another one. So you had to really be in tune with what those people wanted. And that's why I almost got fired from that gig, was because I couldn't make people dance. And there's not many stand clubs. They're dance clubs, right? So my drum teacher came by my apartment. I lived with the guitar player in the night band. I was in the day band. And he said, "Hey, man, you're about to lose this gig." And I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Well, you can't make people dance. You don't have any groove." And I said, "Well, why?"
Ouch.
Yeah, first of all, that was mean. But secondly, I said, "Well, how do I get it?" And he said, "I don't know. You're going to have to figure it out." And I'm like, that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all.
You're my teacher.
Yeah. And so that went through several months of me no longer worried about the technical aspect of it. I actually was trying to relate to the music on a more human level about why does music make people want to move? Why?
Okay.
What
and
makes
you're sitting
them?
there learning that.
Yeah.
Because you're moving even in that season before you found your groove, Stella, or whatever. It's like, you're learning the power of music
Yeah.
because you can repopulate, you can exit a facility or drive everybody out and then repopulate it. You can shift populations, who's going to be on the floor and who's on the side,
Yeah.
all with the choice of a song.
Yeah, and to this day, I'll talk about songs in the form of where's the energy going? Are we building to energy, or are we coming back from energy?
Okay.
I view music through a almost an energy lens, and that sounds weird. It's really not. It's just, am I directing this music in the right way?
Okay.
Are we headed in the right direction? Have we hit the climax too soon? Do we need to, But yeah, it was months of me trying to figure out this human element of what makes music function, and why does that connect with people universally?
Right. And I would argue because it's a gift from God.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably not to get people to drink more alcohol at the door in
Yeah.
New Orleans, but it teaches you. To me, it's an example of the power of harmony and frequency, the sonic space, and you learn that emotionally we are connected as people, and I think divinely created to respond to music, which is one of our primary methods for worship and bringing praise and adoration to God. So let's shift over because the whole time you're doing this, you're playing at the church and had been for several years, building a skill set and learning the same thing, except in a spiritual sense. As worship leaders, we're on a platform, and our job's not to entertain people, but simply to make an introduction and bring them into the presence of God emotionally through a song, and then we get out of the way so God can minister to their hearts, right? So tell us about your coming up in the worship circles and what impact it had in developing who you are today.
Yeah, well, I think playing church is different than playing. There's a great book called Musicking, and it was, I believe he used to be a professor. I forget. Maybe still is a professor, but written by somebody smarter than me, and viewing music as this lens of it's an activity that everyone can engage in. If you go to a venue to go see a concert, he considers the people that are serving the drinks just as important as the people that clean the venue, just as important as the musicians that are up there, and the guy that did the lighting, because all of them are making an atmosphere where we can come together as a community and experience this thing of music. We're musicking together. It's an activity. And we, as musicians, would have really no point to put on a concert if no one came. It's imperative that the crowd comes. It's imperative, and musicians will talk to you. Boy, they just weren't into it. It affects the musicians, the energy. There's go back to the energy that crowd gives off. I could walk on stage and go, ugh, this feels horrible in here. What have y'all been doing? This feels gross, And you spend half your set trying to get the crowd in. Sometimes you never get them to that spot. I really started to feel that in a worship setting, because you're even more in tune, I think, with the spiritual, emotional side of that, and going back to a biblical context of what we are as worshipers. We have a gift, a spiritual gift that, let's say, my wife does not have. And she'll tell you that she has tons of other gifts, but music's not one of them. She loves it because I'm around, and she's kept me around, so I guess she doesn't hate it too much. But she loves being able to go into a worship service and engage in something that she knows nothing about, but it's been brought to a level to where it can minister to her. And it
might even be easier. And that way she's not breaking it down in her head like, oh,
that's
wait
right.
a minute, he missed that.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Like,
I know if she comes and says, what was that thing at church? And I know, oh, we really screwed that up. If she heard it, we really screwed it up. But that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get, Joe the mechanic, Phyllis the hairdresser. They're coming in the same way they welcome us into their environment, and they fix our car and make us feel a part of that. A good mechanic or a hairdresser doesn't just cut your hair. It's a whole thing. They bring you into this thing of like, do you want something to drink? It's an experience, right? And that's what we're really trying to do, is give an experience with God to those people that they couldn't have otherwise, because they need someone to show them, no, this is how we do that. And as musicians, that's what we do. We direct the flow of that and where that's going, and we kind of say, oh, this is where the boat's going. You hop in the boat, it's gonna be fine. We'll go this way. And so for me, coming up, especially under Joseph, he was extremely talented when it came to writing charts and those kinds of things. So I saw that side of the work ethic thing. Oh, absolutely.
So Joseph mentored me as well, and I cherish. It's such a beautiful season in my life, but being sensitive to the Spirit, to where you could read the room and know. You just know, and then you respond musically to what was happening. And it's so wonderful when everyone's on the same page and you have whoever's leading that set or that service at the time is super sensitive. And you just see it. And it's like you can't create what's happening. Yeah. You understand that is genuinely a move of the Spirit.
And I think, not to interrupt you there, but I think that for me, playing worship is as close as I can get. I've got a degree in jazz studies that's probably worth the paper it's written on, but I haven't played jazz since I got out of college. But I studied it for a long time and played it for a long time. And worship is as close to jazz as I've been able to come in a different way. The energy and the feeling I get with playing jazz, that freedom of being able to respond in the moment and carry the audience with you, is the same way in worship. You can, just the same way you could get up and you feel like, God's giving you a word for someone, or you say something and someone later comes back and goes, that really impacted me. And you go, I was feeling like I should have said that, and I did. Right. And it's the same thing. I think that we can have a ministry through our instruments. I think we can speak words through our instruments. And I know for people that don't play instruments, they're like, okay, I don't know what he's talking about. I talked to a really great soloist one time, and he was incredible. And I said, what are you thinking about when you solo? And he said, man.
What instrument did he play?
So he played saxophone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So saxophone.
And I said, what do you think about when you play a solo? Because your solos are just incredible. I said, but I don't know. I said, what are you thinking about certain scales? You think about, and he said, well, I mostly think about colors. And he paused, and I'm like, okay, if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're just going to be a jerk.
He's not the first one I've heard say that.
Exactly. I didn't know. I was too early to understand. I was still in the technical side of things. And he said, but sometimes I think about shapes. And then I think about making those shapes and then connecting those shapes and colors. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much for making fun of my question. Totally went over my head. Kind of me telling you, I think about energy. I see it in energy. I see about where we need to go. Even when I'm playing with a singer-songwriter, I'm thinking, where does this need to go? If the energy of a song I'm listening to is not right, I'll just turn it off. Yeah. But you can give me the most lo-fi song, and if the energy of that artist is there, I'll go, that's a killer record. Yeah. He missed all these notes. Doesn't matter. Because it's more than about that. And for me, it's something to play in a worship setting, and you feel like in a certain part you're supposed to stick out a little bit, and you think, well, it's not about me, but I feel like it's supposed to goose this a little bit. And you'll have somebody come up and go, man, on that song, I don't know what was about that, but man, that song just hit hard. And it's like, okay, well, they don't get it, but we get it. And I think it's up to us to respond in that way so that they can have that. Because it's a communal event whenever we're in worship. That is one of the things we're trying to do, is get them to participate with us. That's not always what we're trying to do at a concert. It's performance at concert.
Exactly. And there's a difference between worship and performance and worship performance, which is all have their space. Yeah. But in a genuine worship setting, it absolutely bringing people into the presence of the Lord and understanding the reverence and that responsibility contains, Are you still playing at church anywhere?
Yeah. So I've actually been playing at my church a lot lately. Probably like 3-4 times a month, which is the most I've played since I was a teenager. But we kind of went through, we're going through a rebuilding phase. Have restructured some things with the worship community, and we just got low on drummers. One had a surgery, some moved, and all of a sudden, I told him, I said, I'll step up as much as I can. Because we're in Nashville, so you used to could have gone about 10 or 12 deep. Like, they could have cut you an album and it would have been just fine. They were heavy hitters, and I was intimidated to be amongst them. My first Sunday play, I was like, I'm not gonna. I was at the church for a year before I told them I played anything. I just sat back there going, "Oh, you guys," But so I've been playing there a lot, which I think the same way we tithe of our money, or we're supposed to give of our money. I think that tithing goes far beyond monetary things. I think we need to give all of the things that we've been so blessed with. We talked about the home renovation I did. It is nothing for me to come home and there'd be 20 teenagers running around I came home the day before I was leaving. I was supposed to be packing up. Last night I'm going to see the family. And there are 15 of them cannonballing in the pool. I mean, they're mad. And now, of course, they're grown men. Hey, Mr. Taylor. And they're like 18. I'm like, hey, football player guy, please don't dive in the pool. It's not deep enough,
Who's feeding these children?
Yeah, that's what y'all got any snacks? I'm like, not for you. You eat like 4 times as much as I do, man. But it's, we give of that space to, help
That's
other,
right.
children. So I've always felt like the talents we've developed need to be given. And so I don't ask, I don't want, I'm in Nashville. It's a job for me. To quote a buddy of mine, this is not a hobby. They're like, man, at rehearsal, you're really prepared. I'm like, okay. It's not a hobby. But for them it is, and so it's been good to step up and be a part of that community again and give back as much as I can to the church that's given my family a lot, So yeah, I've actually stepped back in lately, and which has been good because I've been headlong in projects at work that aren't all music based, even though the business I have is music. And so it's been good to kind of walk that line and help rebuild that program, and yeah.
Fantastic. You grew up in church. Father was a pastor.
That's an understatement,
right? Yeah. How challenging was that for you to just grow up in a home where was it like, I guess there's two-sided coin to that thing,
yep.
Right? Do you feel that is it something you just gravitated toward naturally? Is it something you had to learn, defining your faith? Where you are and how you express yourself to the Lord.
Yeah. So Dad was a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor.
I know your mom was a prayer warrior.
She was. She was a worship leader. Yeah,
beautiful lady.
Yeah,
she prayed for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she, some of my fondest memories are she was a worship leader at their church, or our church, and Saturday nights she could play the piano, but she wasn't the world's best piano player. And we'd go to bed and we'd fall asleep to her picking through the set for the next day for worship, singing it, making sure she had the notes before rehearsal, and but it was very choppy, and it was very broken, and it was full of mistakes, and it was my favorite thing that she did. And she would stop playing, and we would come up and we'd say, could you just play a little bit more? And if we were having trouble going to sleep, we'd say, could you just play some? And she would sit down, and I'm sure she was thinking, I don't know why that would, because I remember as a child going, I ain't right, I didn't play anything at the time, but I'm like, I didn't, but she was up there just, which I think is part of what draws me to even some lo-fi music that I listen to. I had somebody text yesterday, I want you to send me some music that's inspiring you. I said, you really don't want to hear it. I said, I'm pretty esoteric in what I listen to.
Stephen, and I'll tell you, it gives me hope, because honestly, musically, I'm a white belt in karate. I tell people that all the time. But I learned through you that it's more than the notes that are played.
Mm-hmm.
It's how they're played and how it's presented.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain bands that you've connected me to, and it's just encouraging. It's like, I can't do what you do, but I think I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of your favorite things right now,
Yeah.
So,
and it's coming up under that. And then my dad was a pastor. He traveled a lot. We helped them start churches. Started a church in outside of Vicksburg, Port Gibson. It's still going to this day. And then a church in Macomb, Mississippi. And then he took over the church here from Clarence Matheny and was there 12, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I came up under that, setting up chairs, tearing down chairs. The church was an everyday occurrence. Right. It was as integrally woven into our life as my brother and sister were. Yeah. And then, my parents split when I was about 13, 14, something like that. And that was a whole different chapter of life. I saw a lot of things with ministry I didn't like. My dad, there were a lot of mega churches he would go to, and so I saw a lot of the back end of church that I didn't care for. And then I felt like I got to be 19, 20, and I had done that. I was equipped to go in the ministry. I felt like I could have done it and done it well and had a good beat on it. But I felt like, no, I have been full-time in the ministry since I was born, and I want to do some other things. But reconciling my own faith, I remember there was a big phase when I was in New Orleans that I started going through and really trying to think through, well, I know that's what I'm taught, but what do I believe about that?
Right.
The Bible tells us to do that. And I've actually been doing that, believe it or not, the past, I'd say probably 5 or 6 years has been a very big, unexpected revisiting of all the things that are foundational blocks in what I believe. And do you really have a correct view of that? Or is that just something you were told? And so dealing with a lot of that past stuff and coming to terms with, what do I truly believe? What do I, those kinds of things. So yeah, it's interesting, but everyone needs to go through that and find their own way and their own unique character in God. And mine looks way different than others. And my dad and I would talk about that. I said, look, there's people. My dad loved suits. He loved dressing up. I did not.
And you overdressed for me today.
Yeah, look. Yeah.
Because I wanted you in sleeveless.
Yeah.
I might have you go. We might get some scissors back here
cut
and
it right
fix
up.
this shirt.
Yeah. I was looking at it and I almost grabbed it. I said, I gotta wear my formal attire. So
the whole story. I don't know if the viewer wants to get into that, but it's the last time I saw you in New Orleans, Tipitina's.
Yeah.
Touring with this great band, and I was so impressed because it was basically a 3 to 4 piece ensemble, and the sound was so big and so tight, and you were back there in this wife beater trucker shirt, just waylaying.
Yeah,
I mean, over exaggerated movements, and it brought so much energy. But I was like, I know him. I was so proud of you.
Yeah.
And that night was just fun. Fun.
That group, the Steelwoods, they run with the red dirt scene out of Texas and Oklahoma. And in Southern Rock, they're, Rowdy, the guitar player that founded that band, was all heart and soul. I never got to play with him. He passed away before I joined the group for a year and a half. But yeah, that band was all about, the energy they brought. And that was, I tried to imbue that and embed that into what I was playing because Southern Rock is a very simple song form, and so it's country music and it's about stories. And so when you're playing, we had this song, "You Don't Even Know Who I Am," and it's an old, I think Lori Morgan did it, and we had our own beefed up rock version that we did of it where it would get huge, but it's this slow 6/8 song. The part's bone in the nose simple. And so what else do you have to hang your hat on except the story? And so then it's like, well, how do I tell this story? Because it's a tragic story. It's just a couple that's been married and one of the wives finally decided to leave, and she left all the laundry where it was, and she left the keys on the table. And we get to the chorus, "You don't even know who I am. You left me a long time ago." It's just now they're figuring it out. And it's just heart-wrenching when you read that story. I used to play that song, and I just get tears in my eyes in the middle of a concert, just going, "God, what if this was?" You know what I'm saying? Like you put yourself in that situation, and so for me, every note I played in there, no matter how simple it was, I wanted it to be spot on. I wanted every drum fill to be exactly how I wanted it to be to build the energy. And I could tell if I got it on a certain night because you just see the crowd just kind of lurch forward with that energy. And it's like, man, got it. We got the story through too. Not just the words, but the emotional impact of that story. We were able to translate that. It's not just that you're playing a note. It's your intention behind that note. That's why I asked students all the time, I'm like, what's your intent behind that note? Why are you playing that note? Well, it's
because it was there.
Yeah, it's the upbeat eighth note of the second beat. I'm like, yeah, but it's a hi-hat lift. Well, yeah, you didn't do it very cleanly. I kind of got away, didn't it? You're not telling that story very well. Did you? Well, it's just it's going so fast. I'm like, well, slow it down. You got to play that cleanly. It's, play what you mean, when you mean to play it, how you mean to play it, And so I found that the intent you put behind what you do, and somebody, I I forget who this quote was from, and I'm going to paraphrase it. But he said, people will be far more inspired by the sovereignty you have over your work than the work itself. And it kind of went over my head at first.
So every time I have these conversations, somebody says something that I'm like, I need to write this down. So I got to remember. You repeat that.
Yeah.
Because that's powerful. Say it again.
Yeah. Well, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if it was Tim Ferriss. I want to put it there but I don't know if it was one of the guests he had on there. He has a great podcast, one of the number one in the world, with these in-depth interviews with some of the world's smartest people in all walks of life. And I feel like that's where it came from, somewhere in that listening phase. But it's the sovereignty you have over your work will inspire far more than the work itself. So that album you made, it's not the album that inspires people. They look at that and they go, I'm so inspired by that journey. When you read about Bob Dylan, his whole journey will inspire you. You know, people come and they'll tell me, they'll say, it's just inspiring to come here to your studio because of what you build. Well, we're learning drums. I was not trying to inspire you with anything. I just thought it'd be cool, you know?
It is cool.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. People walk in, it's like, I don't know. And the guy, Grant, guy who works for his daughter, walked in. She said, what do y'all do here? And he said, you know. She said, do you sell drums? And he said, sometimes. You know, do you do drum lessons? Yeah. Do you play music? Oh, yeah. You know, it's just like... But it's this weird building with just drums everywhere of all types and original art, and but I feel like it's an extension of me, and I have found that to be true. But I use that creative element in all parts of my life now. I try to view everything as a creative endeavor. The renovation we did on our house, you know, I had never been a project manager whenever I did the renovation on our studio, and I was very frustrated at first. And then finally one day I said, "Oh, we're creating a space. This is a creative activity. Oh, I do that." And from then on, I got it. And everything was viewed from the lens of, what's this going to make the person feel like when they walk in? You know,
the emotional impact.
Yeah.
When they walk into the space.
What is that? And so we did that with our house, and it was like, no, that's not going to feel right. We could put that there, but that's going to ruin it, won't it? You know, well, it's going to be, you know, this much more time, and I don't care. It's going to be wrong if we don't do it that way, you know? Yeah. And so we viewed everything. I begin to view my relationship with my wife that way. It's a creative endeavor for me. And it's not that I got it wrong that one time. It's that this is a process. And that was that was a wrong color. We'll come back with a different color today.
Back to the color thing, Steve. Back to the color thing.
And so, yeah, you know, that along with kind of building out pillars in my life that I try to check in on to make sure things are in balance, you know. But coming to the realization that I'm a creative and I don't have to be doing music. I can be creative in anything I'm doing, and letting yourself live that in everything, giving yourself the permission to play. I think as we grow up and our parents tell us, they say, you know, go play with your toys, and then you get a certain age and they take your toys and they say, okay, you need to stop playing. You need to get serious. And it's like, wow, I kind of want my toys back. So I've spent my whole adult life going, can I just get my crayons back? If you just give me my box of crayons back,
watch this. She's gonna like, he's got his toys. His toys.
Well, I was on a date with my wife, and she's so great. She's great. I wish all of you could meet her. But we were on a date, and so when I got the studio, I moved all the drums out, except my son started playing the month before I moved down, and so we still have a drum set at the house, unfortunately. But and we were on a date, and she said, you know, how many drum sets do you have now? And I thought, oh boy.
How do I answer this?
Yeah.
It's a loaded question.
And she said, you got at least, 3? And she's looking at me smiling.
Another glass of wine, Dave?
Yeah.
How's your steak?
And she looked at me, and I thought, 3? She thinks I have 3. How am I supposed to? 3's in the number, but
you said,
I told her,
ish.
Yeah. And I said,
3-ish.
I have 13. She goes, 13? And I looked at her, I said, this is a nice restaurant and these are nice people and they don't want to see a fight. So you need to calm down right now, you know. 13 drum sets. How did you? I said, it just happened. I don't know. Well, how many snare drums? I said, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my God. I've seen your snares.
Yeah, at that time,
I've seen a few of your snares.
We had about
lined up.
Oh, we had about 48 of them at one time.
Oh, man.
And so, you know, but it's just, even drum sets, I view them as a creative
Stephen,
endeavor.
not a hobby.
It's not a hobby.
Tools
That's
of the
for sure.
trade. Just saying.
Yeah, I got that line from a buddy of mine, Tim Buell. He's worked with me for about 12 years. World's best transcriptionist as far as drumming, and then he's just recently taken the drum chair for Michael W. Smith. There was an unexpected passing of his drummer, and he stepped in, and so Michael W. Smith's always run a great crew, but he told me, because he does the transcribing for our lessons and any sheet music we need, and Grant, who's our community manager, had messaged him. He said, "Man, you turned that around fast," and the email just said, "It's not a hobby." That was it. That was all it said. Dude. And I thought, I'm stealing that line.
I'm telling you.
I'm going to steal it.
Yeah.
So,
fantastic.
But yeah, I forget where we were going there with what you had asked.
Your wife, your collection.
Well,
your arsenal.
Yeah, she's been one of the secret weapons in life. I will say that. That is I guess one of the most important choices you can make is partners in life, and I would like to say I chose her, but come on, we all know I'm batting out of my league. So, it's I bludgeoned her to death with kindness and gifts and over dating her, and I think that
wore down.
Yeah, I told the boys, I said, look, you don't have to be the best looking, just the one that's in the picture frame the most. What's that? You want some flowers? I got flowers right here for you.
You're busting up them photos.
Yeah.
Photo bombing constantly. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, what you want dinner? Oh, I got dinner. You can come have some dinner. So, but she's been fantastic and a great support for the family. And yeah, she's stayed home for oh gosh, I guess we just graduated our first, so she's been homeschooling him since first grade. And
I was going to say, y'all homeschool.
Yeah, so Jackson, we were having some problems with his reading when he was in kindergarten and first grade. I guess she's homeschooling him since second grade, and he was having trouble chunking things, and so she went to one teacher meeting and came home. Absolutely, they had told him he wasn't going to have to go to summer school. We didn't even know there were problems, and then he got a note in class, and everybody knew that color note meant you were going to summer school. And he was talking about AB student, and I'm like, wait, but they got it wrong. That he wasn't supposed to go, but he got that slip anyway. So he was embarrassed. She was fit to be tied, and I'm going up there. She said, "Are you coming?" I said, "I'm not gonna. Nope. You gonna go by yourself." Because I'm not going to be a part of this bloodbath. And so she pulled him. She was a school teacher by trade. That was what she did. And she had come home a couple years before that. And so she began homeschooling him. And a lot of homeschool families, they do it a couple years and then they abandon it. But it's kind of one of the pillars we built around parenting is consistency. It's been one of the things we constantly go back to. Because I read a study early on, and I wish I could point to it because everybody on the internet go, "Oh, you look at the studies," but there was one that they did, and the importance of consistency with children on all levels, even children that were raised in a bad situation. If it was consistently bad, it was better than if it was inconsistently bad.
Right.
In other words, it got better for a while, and then it got worse, and then it was better if it was just they knew what to expect. Right. And that's the danger of alcohol. Let's say it's a very inconsistent environment. Mm-hmm. And so we've always been about, once she decided she was homeschooling, she was homeschooling.
She's not afraid of a project either.
No. And so, we graduated Jackson, and we bought her a gift too, because that was her first grad. So she wanted a magnolia tree. So she's funny about that. Yeah. So we planted that tree out front, and
in the front yard.
Yeah, well, over to the side. So there was a place that she wanted it, so we put it there, and I put it there, and yeah, but she's been so supportive and great with the family while I go and do the things I have to do to
play with your toys.
Exactly. Make sure people eat at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's next for you? You got anything around the corner that you're wanting to talk about?
What's next? Yeah. So next on, we start with personal level. We're graduating our first. We graduated our first, and he's looking to go off for an 8 or 12-month program, which is great. It's what he's supposed to do. A little different for us to think about that because 2 months ago he was not looking at this, and so now it's looking like we're not going to see him for 6 or 7 months, and So adjusting to that, we have some more free time because one's out, another one's about to drive, and then we have a 9-year-old. So, but so feeling through what's the next phase for family and what that looks like, and then with work, all the work we've done so I play music and I've got online drum school. Online drum school's been running since 2011, so 15 years this year, and all of that work was done because we got done hardening the back end, and I said, okay, let's pour some marketing dollars on this, and I didn't feel comfortable about it. The energy wasn't right. Go back to that. And so for a few months, I would go into work, and I would go sit in the front room for hours at a time. And I told the guy, it's just two of us there right now, and then we have a lot of independent contractors. And I told him, I said, I'm working, but I can't go forward until I figure this out, and I got to sit with it. So for months, I would sit with that. Just the problem of I don't know what the problem is, and I would sit for hours, and which is not common nowadays, but it's kind of a superpower I found out. And so when I have a problem nowadays, I just actually stop, and until if you see me ditch out and go on a walk, there's a problem that I'm trying to, and if I hit a wall, I'll be like, see ya, going on a walk, and I'll just won't even think about how to solve the problem. I just let it ruminate. I just let it go. So for a couple months, I did that with the business, trying to figure out, I want to scale this, but what's the problem? And the problem was the actual structure. The baby was ugly. We had to redo. I teach things completely different now. It's a completely different program. Excited about it. Never been excited about a program as this one. And but we were doing that so that we could scale it, so we could get something that was scalable. And then so over the next couple of years, we'll be adding a couple of employees and moving me out of the day-to-day and having someone replace me for project management, the day-to-day management of things. So I'm big picture and creative, and so that my whole day does not have to be spent on income generation. It can be spent on some projects that maybe down the road could be something cool. Both musical, writing, art, there's lots of things I want to do, but I need to have the time to spend a couple years doing them. Yeah. And figure out, because that's what I did with drums. That's what I did with this business. Yeah. This business was going for 4 or 5 years for I had a couple hundred students, but not that for a long time. I was just doing the work, building something, and so that's the next phase, is to scale up what we have now that I feel like it's one of the best products out on the market for what it does, and I have not always been able to honestly say that. Yeah. And so I think the team I work with is great, and I want to grow that. And there's a couple people that I think we could put in some key positions. So that's the next goal, is to scale this up. And there's some numbers we'll need to hit for that. Yeah. And then, that's kind of the direction of where we're going right now. So yeah. I was back out on the road for a year and a half, and that was good. I love playing live. And if I was by myself, I would be gone. I'd just be on the road. I have some friends that are by themselves. Well, actually, a lot of my friends are on the road by themselves. Turns out a marriage doesn't stay together.
They're by themselves.
But some of them had just never gotten married. And I was talking to a buddy the other day, and the artist, rather large Christian artist, but he was saying he's backed off his dates. And he said, I don't like it. And he said, not because of the money. He said, I'm fine on money. He said, I just don't want to be here that much. He said, I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. So I like traveling, and I think he backed his dates down from like 100 to 70, but he likes being gone and out there, and so yeah, if it was just me, I would be gone, but it's not. So we feel like this is a phase of our life where we need to be focusing on the family and. Kids, they're going to be there forever. And so with what they're doing, making sure they're headed in the right direction, I need to be here for that. And so it's been a readjustment since I came back off the road. But I'm excited about where things go. And I'm doing all of that because there's some creative projects I know coming up. And before I went back up on the road, I told Kelly, I said, I think I'm going to be doing something with music full time again. She's like, you do something with music. I said, I know. I think I'm going to be playing again in some case. She said, well, what you got? I said, I have no clue. So I just know it's coming. I don't know, and that was probably a year before all of that fell in my lap. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I feel there's some projects coming, and I feel like this is the prep phase for those projects. Yeah. It's the growth phase for the projects I'm in. And for these other projects, it's the prep phase where I'm getting ready so I can put my energy towards those. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm headed with things right now.
Well, Stephen, I'm excited
Me
for
too.
Your future and what it may be. I will again continue to live vicariously through you,
Oh, hey,
and we'll be in touch so you can be filling us in as it unfolds.
for sure. I'd love that.
Outstanding. All right, so thank you guys, and thanks, Stephen. Let me just tell you, I love you, dude. I'm so excited for you, and thanks again for spending the time. And we'll talk with you again soon.
You bet, man. Thanks for having
All
me.
right, thank you all.